Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's episode of Gamernomicon podcast. You got Maurice here.
Mike's here.
And Jeff.
Yeah.
That's awkward.
Everybody's together. Sorry, I didn't tell you.
I just want to say awkward. I could have just said hello when my name was called. That would have been cooler. But
I didn't. I wanted everybody to say their names. You know,
I get it. I get it. I'm not complaining.
You know,
so, it was just a little weird. I wasn't expecting it.
They know by now you're Jeff. I think. I would hope.
Well, Jeff? You never. You have to assume that whoever's listening, this is their first episode.
Is this
time.
Visual? Are we visualing?
Visualing?
Can they see us?
You have to visual. You have to
through the camera.
What are you talking about?
You have to become the listener, basically. To
what?
Okay, you're making this awkward and complicated.
I don't know where he's
going. Where the fuck are you going with this? Become the listener.
Yeah, like you have to become the listener, as in assuming that they don't know who we are. Like, it could be the first time the listener is listening in.
Yeah, you can't assume everybody's seen episode 1. You know?
Because there is no episode
become
1.
The listener.
The numbers
is the same thing.
And I'm saying they should be able to see us through the camera.
What camera?
What are you talking about?
This is just a microphone.
Yes.
Okay.
Did you not know that this whole time?
You paid like $300 for this. I was just hoping.
You know, mics are can be really expensive.
That's okay.
Thousands of dollars.
There's no. I mean,
I wouldn't even know where the camera would be.
Oh,
anything.
Then again, I mean, it's low lighting, so.
Okay, all right.
That was weird.
We're gonna ignore that, and we're just gonna go. Today it's okay. Today we're gonna be a little bit off topic anyway, because we just watched the new trailer, the San Diego Comic-Con trailer for Stranger Things season 2. And we're a little bit excited about that, so we're gonna talk about that.
Was that this weekend or this week?
This week. I think it just happened yesterday. Is when the trailer came out, so it's currently going on. Yeah.
So it was probably over the weekend.
Way to date the episode, Jeff.
It's probably over the weekend.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not really dating.
It is still the weekend.
You said we just watched it.
Yeah.
I
guess, but I mean, it should be wrapping up now.
Well, I mean, the trailer came out today, earlier today.
I watched it yesterday.
Oh, well, earlier yesterday.
Let me see. We both dated it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yesterday is not a date, Jeff. But...
So
if the trailer came
if
out
he dated
today,
it first and you dated it, you got Jeff Sloppy second.
Okay.
All right, let's move on. Who cares?
When we first time.
No. That's not.
He's talking about anime. He's talking about anime that we were watching.
He is not talking about anime. And I'll tell you this.
Or a video game you let him borrow.
I can tell you this much.
When you let
somebody, because it wasn't true. There was no sloppy. I mean, rebound maybe, but
when you let somebody borrow a video game, that video game becomes your sloppy seconds, right, Jeff? Video games.
Sure, man. Sure.
Is what he was talking about.
Okay.
I agree. Wink, wink.
I didn't know we were gonna go down this road.
You went down the road.
I don't. Is this a problem? You want
to it's your turn to the wrong side of the road, man.
You want to turn the microphone off?
No, we're good. Stranger Things first season was phenomenal, and anybody who hasn't watched the show yet, just watch it. It's 8 episodes. Each of them are about 42 to 45 minutes long, with the exception of the last episode being, I believe, somewhere 10 minutes more than the other. Actually, no, it went a little over. I think it was a little over an hour, and so you've got time to watch it in 1 or 2 days. If you do, I highly recommend it.
I mean, you're assuming that the person's not working 2-3 jobs.
Well,
you're making a lot of assumptions right now.
Well, no. But if I said they could finish it in 2 or 3 days, it's okay, yeah, on my next off day, I could finish it.
But you don't have an off day working 2-3 jobs.
I guess not. But either way, I recommend it. The second season of the show starts October 27th, 2017. So watch the first season definitely first, or you'll be lost in the second season. Trust me. I would recommend it. It's just a great show. It's got a nice 80s throwback feel to it. I mean, that's what they were going for, and it definitely feels like it. I know Jeff can add on to that because he watched a lot of
yeah, you were saying earlier about
nostalgia.
Yeah, how it feels 80s. Is one of the things that you liked about it?
It feels 80s, not 100% in the way it's filmed, because it doesn't look like an 80s movie.
Right.
But again, they use a lot of the same kind of it's the same little tropes that you see in the way certain shots look. Mm-hmm. The environment, of course, looks like it's in the 80s. Like you see in the trailer, they're wearing Ghostbuster outfits and stuff like that.
Right.
But it's also just because they're related to the Goonies, right? That's what you said.
Yeah.
So it definitely feels like the Goonies. You have a group of kids. that are going out to, like, they have this belief on the world that they're not really true. It's just all myth and urban legend. And then all of a sudden, like, there's a part of their fantasy world that becomes real, basically.
Right.
And that's pretty cool. And I like that. That's comparing it to the Goonies directly. Which, and also has the 80s horror movie for me, like for like a kid's horror movie, has like the weird grayish overtone kind of look to it a lot. And this movie or show had it as well. Most of the time it's either gray. It's not really sunny outside at any point in time. And it's always either or nighttime or something like that.
Like an E.T. type thing.
Yeah,
like when he was riding a bike.
Yeah,
but yeah, you can even see it in like 90s movies or TV shows as well, where you look at like anything that has to do with slightly horror has a very gray, not sunny.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
Yeah, just
it has
the
that
overall,
kind of feel.
like, tone of
looks like you're in like London or something.
Yeah, that's just how London is.
That's just how it is.
But that's one of the things that I really like about older horror movies, is that like
the visuals
is specifically the fact that you don't really see the monster until kind of later on in the show. You know, like what makes it scary is that you see what it can do, and people's reactions to it, but you don't see it.
Your mind fills in the blanks.
Yeah,
so
and you're kind of left to your own devices about what this thing is, and a lot of modern movies don't really do that anymore. That's a very like older
because
thing.
they show you everything in the trailer.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a show. It's like when you you tell a joke, you got to build it up first before the punchline. Where a lot of things now are just punchline. I think it's just the way it is with a lot of the faster pace of things. Technology moves fast. Everything. We just live very fast lives.
Yeah, exactly. Like even that's why I really liked the new Godzilla movie. Not the newest one, but the one that came out before that one. Because there's like Shin Godzilla, not that one, but the one that came out in America before that. It was the same thing. Is that you went a very significant portion of the movie not seeing him, or not seeing all of him. You know, you just get the picture of the spikes real quick, or lightning flash, and eyes.
The Godzilla
2000.
No,
the older one.
No, the newer one. The one that
did they
came
do
out
that in
around
2000? Because
Jurassic World.
I remember scenes in 2000 where you only saw like
the one where
the people would be in the building. This is the only scene I remember from the movie, honestly, where they were in the building and you kind of hear the rumblings of something crashing through the city, and you just see a giant foot come out of nowhere.
Yeah,
and that's really that's all you see.
Maybe I haven't watched that one in so long.
Yeah,
but the movie spends.
Is Matthew Broderick?
Yeah. But I do know that movie spends a lot of time showcasing Godzilla. They had this really nice CGI Godzilla. There's lots of scenes where there's a scene where he's like swimming next to the boats and they're like tracking him and whatnot.
You know what? It probably didn't.
Yeah,
really
but so there's just a lot of scenes with that. I mean, I like that movie. I thought it was a good movie.
Yeah.
Godzilla in that movie kind of isn't scary. You just kind of sort of feel bad for him. Like, and then when it gets to the end, you're like, oh, come. I mean, come on, man. You didn't need to do all that. You know. I guess they did, but you know. But the new Godzilla, you know...
It's like Godzilla 2015 or is it 14?
Yeah,
like
15, 14, something like that. And it's just really, like, it really builds Godzilla up as this great movie monster, which is kind of how, like, because of what Godzilla is supposed to represent in the show, and, like, in you know, like, it's where it draws from, like, Japanese culture and things like that. Godzilla is more a force of nature than like the good guy or the hero or something like that. Like, you know, he fights these other monsters, and because of that, you know, you're rooting for him. You know, you want Godzilla to win, you know, because Godzilla's cool, but he's also Godzilla. Like, he's also a monster, and not showing all of him until, you know, later on in the movie really builds him up a lot more. And that's exactly how it is in Stranger Things. You know, you see the effects, you see what it causes, what it can do, and then only towards the end are you really shown, like, this is what this is.
It's really good because it's not only does, because there's a lot of things that happen, like starting from episode 1. I'm not gonna list specific things, but starting from episode 1, you'll hear the monster first. You never see it. You'll hear him first, and then
the lights.
Yeah,
like,
then
so
the lights.
That's a common theme.
The lights. So if you ever see anybody with a T-shirt with the lights, just watch the show. You'll understand. But you like with the first guy, it was like you just hear it, and the guy's just running, and then like you go, and then the next scene is like or the next time you even hear or see anything about the monster or whatever, is you'll hear it again, but then the lights will go in the one room.
Hold on. Was it in the first? He ended up in an elevator. In the beginning of the movie,
yes.
In the beginning of the show,
the very beginning of the show, before you even see any characters.
Did you see him disappear at all? I don't
No. The elevator doors
closed, but you didn't the doors. Nothing hit the doors or anything like that. It just closed.
It was like in the elevator already. And he looks up, and it's like, and then the doors close.
Yeah. I'm not saying you saw anything. I just want to make sure I had a good idea.
Yeah, that's how it happened.
It's been a while since I saw it.
I mean, we're gonna watch it again before.
Of course.
Definitely, because if you really want to have a good experience, watch Stranger Things like maybe a week before the new season comes out.
That'll be a good time to do
that with anything. Yeah. Just like I went on that run of Alien movies.
Oh yeah.
All of them. Don't watch the fourth one.
We watched
not worth it.
The first one.
The first one was good. The second one was.
The first one was really good.
Not as. Second one was it was good, but it wasn't like.
And even in the Alien movie, you don't see.
Yeah, exactly. That's because that's an old horror movie. Like a lot of older horror movies do that really well. A lot of it probably is because they wanted to hide, the production value of it.
Well, you say that, but then
I'm just saying perhaps part of it for that.
Sure,
reason,
and part of it could have been like that was the idea at first. But then it's like, this is actually a pretty cool idea to do this. Yeah. And I'm quite sure they stuck with that even more. Because, I mean, you had movies like Star Wars where they had a lot of production value in there. And they just showed everything the whole time. Mm-hmm. So it's like, and that's in the 70s. So.
Yeah.
So it's like, it could have been done.
If they wanted to, they could
so
do
was
it.
Alien as well. But yeah.
I mean, because, in Star Wars, they did that like really well. Like some of those backgrounds are just paintings. Yeah. That they like
they were saying like the people thing, like the one like all the stormtroopers was just like a painting or something. Exactly. Like it wasn't really anybody there. Like, I would never have known that.
Hey, really? Like seriously.
Maybe watching it now back like the old copies you could probably tell, but
right. So that's the thing. I was basically trying to ask myself what things about that show make it so good. And one of the things that we were talking about earlier was the way the characters interact with each other. Yeah. And I mentioned how Mike's decisions on what the group should do affect other characters inside of the show.
Not this Mike, the Mike in the show.
Oh yes, yeah. No, you're not in the Stranger Things universe.
Yeah, the character Mike. Yeah.
I mean, you might be.
Yeah, but it definitely feels like they not only have known each other for a long time, but it feels like they are best friends. So that's a really nice thing, because a lot of times you get like some sitcoms or whatever, it just feels like a guy just coming in and it's awkward because it feels like every time he comes into a room, it's like the first time he comes into a room or whatever. But sitcoms are filmed differently. But the way the characters interact with each other, it feels as if they have known each other for a long time. All the kids, they make childish decisions, even though, like, I mean, it's the face of danger, but they do know, like, okay, yeah, we need to step it up, what will we do in this situation? But as kids, a lot of the other characters in the show, a lot of the adults in the show kind of treat, okay, yeah, they're just kids, move along, move aside, whatever. But bits and pieces, and another thing about the show that I like is that, like, so the kids have their own knowledge of what's going on, but then the police department has its knowledge of going on, and like Will's mom has her knowledge. So it's like three groups, and then there's some sharing of information in between the three. But then toward the end, they all get together, share exactly what they know. That's when they get to the
alerts.
Yeah, I mean,
that's pretty much how like a lot of shows were. That's how a lot of episodes of
who knows, man, they may not even talk to each other at all by the end of the season. It could have been all set up for season 2. You never know.
Well, it's just how a lot of shows are. They come together at the end. It'll have like a bunch of different story arcs that will intertwine like a couple times, and it does it well. Like Winona Ryder, it feels like she's a crazy mom. Like, I mean, it's out of concern, but she starts asking for her, money for advance. Like, I need this paycheck now because I need to get.
It's funny you say that, because I never felt that she was crazy, because I believed what she was saying. Right. So like I can understand maybe she appeared to be kind of like lost and confused a little bit. She's missing her kid. She's distraught.
I mean, she's like going crazy. Yeah. Like she's just
I never even got to going crazy, because again, the whole time you're on the same page she is. So it's like,
because you know, as a viewer,
exactly.
Yeah.
So
dramatic irony.
As an audience, as a viewer watching this, I can't feel that she's crazy if I believe what she's saying.
Right.
That's the point I'm making. Like she can appear to be crazy
that's
off
what
the appearance of like maybe the cop or maybe somebody else.
But that's what I'm saying. She
as
plays,
a viewer, I never felt she was crazy.
I'm saying she plays that role rather well.
Walmart. Does that chick at Walmart? Like
the
viewers are watching like us, and like we're like, oh, this is crazy, but they know what's going on.
They know exactly what's happening.
Yeah. It's just I like how everybody plays the roles that they play are really nice. Like Mike's mom, it's a small character, part character, but she plays the mom who doesn't really like have a job but takes care of the family, and she tries to keep everybody together, and like she has that. It's that same mom hairdo that she has, and she just puts the dinner on, and like the dad doesn't talk. All he does is just go to work, come home, and just eat and maybe watch some TV.
Yeah, I mean the relationship that Will's mother and father have in the show is not touched. I mean, because they're not what is it called, like main characters. They're like supporting characters.
Will's mom and dad, or are you talking about
Mike's mom and dad? Mike's mom and dad.
Yeah.
They're not like main characters, so it's not really touched on. But their relationship and how their relationship is and how their feelings for each other affects their children. Like with Nancy and like Nancy's conversation with Will's brother Jonathan.
Yeah.
Like you can see from that conversation like that she's aware of the relationship with her parents. And then when Mike goes home, like when terrible stuff happens and he just hugs his mother. Like she's only there for that split second, but it makes you feel like that's his mom.
But it also does like the normal like kids kind of adventure story where it's like the parents aren't really a part of what's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of Will's mom.
Yeah, Will's mom.
What other parents are really involved?
We never even see Lucas's parents.
Exactly, but that's
you see them at the funeral.
Yeah.
So
spoiler.
Anyway, so but the thing is, like, it has that's sort of like the usual thing, and that makes that genre of like kids suspense thriller kind of thing work.
Yeah,
it's like you have to make it believable by not having you have teenagers, but that's just as far as you go with terms for like a long time. Maybe a couple of adults, but not a whole family is going to look in like.
Yeah,
that's just not going to happen.
Now that you mentioned that, and going back to what you said earlier, there's a lot of shows that I remember watching as a child, like back in the 80s and 90s, that deal with that same concept of like children going through something, and then like they have a fantasy, and then suddenly this fantasy becomes real, and either their fantasy becomes real in the case of a fantasy movie, or reality invades their fantasy. Like they're thinking everything's fine, I'm just playing hanging out doing my own thing, and then boom, life. There's like a death or something.
But
very
again,
real.
it rarely deals with any major like adult figures constantly being there. It's mostly just like a couple of kids trying to figure out life by themselves, which is normally what you're doing when you're as a kid. Like you're hanging out with just your friends. Your parents are never around during those times, of course. Except for only one movie that I think of. Well, there's a ton, but one that comes to mind is Home Alone 2.
Yeah.
Specifically Home Alone 2 because the main supporting character wasn't a much older lady compared to the kid.
Right.
And then everybody that was interacting with the kid were like in their late 20s or 30s or something, which is really interesting thinking about that.
Yeah.
That it actually pulled that off. Pretty cool.
Yeah. The first one had the old guy in it, but he was kind of an antagonist for most of the movie until the end. Okay. So yeah. Stranger Things does a lot of things well. A lot of things really, really right. Personally, I think that we maybe talked about it before. I mean, if I'm repeating stuff, I'm sorry. It happens all the time, so get used to it. Because I'm probably going to do it all the time. But a lot of times in stories in general, and in media in general, whether it's books or movies or video games, especially video games, a lot of modern media has a habit of skipping over sad parts, or skipping over difficult parts, or maybe not treating them with the respect and dignity that a part like that should have.
Okay.
Whenever I see or play or experience anything that does that, where something bad happens and people have to just accept it, you know, like this is what it is, and you have to show them dealing with their emotions and stuff. That's a lot better. Like, and this is just my thing. Quickest way to get me to not like something is to just make the characters make stupid decisions and not think what they're doing and stuff like that. But if your characters are people and they have emotions and they go through happiness and anger and sadness and have to deal with what's going on around them, probably gonna have positive opinions of that story.
I think a good scene with that is when spoiler alert, when they find when they go to the
spoiler alert.
Yes. When it's episode 4. When they go to the reservoir, and then it's like what happens at the reservoir, they're like, and then Mike, who has been just on 11's side the whole time, you know, despite what Lucas has said. Lucas is like, this chick is crazy, let's not listen to her, like, come on. And Mike is just like, no, let's give her a shot. I mean, she can't be all crazy, whatever. And then when what happens at the reservoir, they're just like, he turns around and looks at her. He's like, yeah, this whole time I was on your side and you let me down. Yeah. Like, this wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for you. Like, just leave me alone. Like,
he slaps her hand away.
Yeah, he's like, don't touch
physical.
Me. Yeah, and it's nice because it's like he's not like the one-dimensional character. He's not like, I'm following her no matter what. She can just do no wrong. You know, something happened and it was jarring enough for him to be like, no, you know what? Like, you led me through this and this is your fault.
Okay, so my only problem with that kind of scene and choice of character like development in that moment is that it can be a little too drastic. It's a little too it's too much of a sharp curve. Like, for example, you could have had that moment happen where same thing occurs, and in the moment that he 11 tries to, you know, comfort him or whatever, he just like shrugs her off and just leaves, goes back home silently, talks to nobody, and then everybody goes back, and then like, let's say, like, oh, well, not everybody goes back. The kids go back to their home, parents' house, or whatever. But 11 stays with Mike. So they end up having a conversation, and he could have, like, a little emotional moment. And then in that emotional moment, in a sad way, talk to her in a way it's like, I believed in you. I trusted you, and this is what happened.
I think that's like, more what an adult would do.
No, but see,
and these are kids, so they explode all
the
time.
What I'm saying is, like, he can be bawling, crying, and still, like, say that, but it gave that space of time of him to, like, I don't know. It just seemed like too much of a sharp, like, we're friends, we're friends, and then all of a sudden I hate you. Like, right. He's a kid. He's a kid, but that seemed like he seemed older enough to not make that drastic of a decision on somebody that you put your trust into.
Well, the event that she only met her like a week before that.
Yeah, but,
and or not a week, because the whole show takes place over 4 days, I think. And maybe over a week, and so like at that point he only knew her for like 2 days, and that's a drastic event in his life that happened like right there. That
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I don't remember ever being in a situation as a kid where somebody does something that I don't like, and I would like voice my opinion right away, or I'll see somebody else in that same situation and instantly we're cool, we're new to knowing each other, we're cool, and then they do slightly something like not even their fault, they just something that didn't turn out the way they were supposed to, and they were trying to help them out, and it's like, screw you, I'm out of here. Like, that seems too
just going through a lot of stuff.
It was too sharp. It was just maybe the choice of words. Like, maybe could have, like, again, a simple shrug of the shoulder, gave a look, and just left. That's more than enough. And just left. And then maybe he could have had, like, you know, every time he would see her for like the next like few, you know, half an hour, 2 hours or whatever, he was just shrugging up, like, just ignore her completely.
I think that I can get what you mean about it being a drastic like turn for the character. Like, it's like, hey, that's not
he didn't
kind
seem
of
like
how
that kind of
is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it fits with the gravity of the situation. Like,
sure.
Like, because it was something really bad. Like, this isn't a minor inconvenience, or hey, like, you lied to me, there's not actually food here. Like, you know, it was something very, like, completely life altering, and she gave him hope that wasn't going to happen, and then he was slapped with this reality of like, yeah, no, it happened, and then he just looks at her, and I think in that situation his reaction was justified. I think, like, as children, we never had to deal with anything that severe. Like, sure. So it doesn't really, like, it's like, well, when I was a kid and I never had to do anything, I never snapped at anybody like that.
But you're never in that situation.
That's also who you are as a kid, and you're as an adult, you never snap on anybody. So you know, when I was a little kid, I used to go off like on people, but like when they were picking on me and stuff like that, it's a whole other thing. But so I don't know, but. Either way,
well, see, Jeff was a bully when he was young.
Don't do that. No. So let's not play that game.
Whereas, you know, we got
not play that game. Let's not play that game. But so
you're a changed person.
My counter to what you're saying about the character development is that as a kid, I find it more logical for the kid to try to hide how they really feel around their friends, and then just but showing emotion, but not wanting to show the emotion and just running away from the situation.
Right.
I find that to be more of a kid thing to do.
I wonder. I mean, I'm not trying to imply anything. I wonder if that's just who you are as a person.
No, I mean that's.
I have no basis of comparison personally because when I was a kid, I didn't have any friends, so I never had.
Well, I'm just going off of
like that.
When you just hanging being in school or something. You see somebody who gets the kid he's upset at her, and in the situation in the show he's upset at her and he's disappointed at the same time. Plus he has I told my friends that I trusted this person, and now this is what happens. She was wrong. I've been proven wrong. He's kind of embarrassed in that moment, plus upset that his friend is dead, plus just the whole gravity situation. You already...
Yeah. I said bad things happen.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
matter. Doesn't matter.
Whatever. Spoilers. Ben, we mentioned spoilers before we even talked about
I'll try to put some annotations on it so that, anybody watching it on YouTube will
it's not that big a deal. But what...
I mean...
Well, the whole thing is... Technically,
yeah,
sure, but the whole situation is I would find it, as an adult, you would approach the person and talk to them. You could be upset, you could yell at them or something, but as an adult, you're more vocal about certain situations when it comes to your emotional being. Whereas I find more so in kids, how it's being shown in films and movies, and you see it sometimes in real life, is that they tend to want to hide their emotions and not present that side of them. So they may run away for a moment and, cry into the pillow or something, or do something else to let go of their emotions, but then try to get back to their friends, acts like nothing happened. Sort of like the little panel interview that we watched where Dustin's character, he was talking about his character Dustin, and how he's like, "Hey guys, everything is cool. We're all good."
Yeah.
But when he goes home, he's probably sitting in
to behave like that.
Yeah. You expect them to approach each other more like that than to talk to them almost on an adult level, and they're not even in high school yet.
Right.
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
The other two kids, Lucas and Dustin, when they were there, Lucas, they tried. It was just oh, come on, man. He was trying to calm Mike down. Yeah. But I think it was just because 11 had built his hope up, and he felt not only betrayed, but he just lost all hope at one. He just felt foolish. I followed everything that you said because you seemed to have felt like you knew what was going on, and we're all we don't know what's going on. You were the only person that seemed like you kind of made some sense, and no matter how crazy it sounded, I stood by you, and this is how you pay me back for that. That's why I think that the other two kids, they didn't explode because they weren't, because it didn't I don't know, he was built so up on it, and then just when everything happened, all three of those emotions of him being embarrassed, his friend dying, and him being betrayed, all. It's you shake a bottle of soda up. It just
you're basically saying that you think that it makes sense, his reaction.
Yes,
based on his emotional state at the time.
Yeah, it would be weird if the other two made that same reaction, because Lucas the whole time was no, don't trust her. Don't trust her. For him to just be see, this is why we didn't.
Yeah.
It would make sense. It's just and he can't say, it's not one of those I told you so kind of thing, because it's his friend that passed too. So he just he just feels bad and he doesn't really know. I
mean, I guess that makes sense. I don't know. It's just I find it a very dangerous thing to do with a character.
Yeah, I can understand,
because you can kind of you can jump and then the character comes back what was that moment?
He's emotionally unstable.
What I'm saying, it's a dangerous thing to do with a character, is to spike their emotions so highly in that type of situation. because it just may not fit.
But with that being said, my favorite movies when I was younger were movies that specifically dealt with children or at least relatable characters handling their emotions. For example, one of my favorite books, which is also a movie now, it wasn't a movie when I read it. This movie a couple of years ago. It's been a while now, but The Bridge to Terabithia. That's my favorite book. And it's a book about...
Never read it.
It's a book about... I read it in middle school.
Never read
it's a book about these two children. Actually, I read it in elementary school, I think. Elementary, middle, something like that.
Pants over here.
It's a book about...
Seventh grade level.
It's a book about these two children.
Yeah.
It's a girl and a guy. And they're basically using their imagination. They have a fantasy place in the woods called Terabithia. And the way they get to Terabithia is by swinging on a rope swing across like a river. And on the other side is Terabithia, and this side is is regular world.
Yeah.
And
That's not dangerous.
And well, that's what happens. So the book for the most part is kind of exactly what you're describing. Is that for him, Terabithia and his imagination is this escape from the reality of his life. He has a big family, they don't have a lot of money, he's got hand-me-down shoes, he has his sister's hand-me-down shoes, so they're pink, and he tries to color them in with permanent marker so that they're black, because they don't have any money, and he gets picked on at school, and he's bullied, and his sister's always getting on his nerves, his youngest sister, and he just is I'm tired of my family and all this other tired of people at school. And then he meets the girl, and the girl shows him, you can open up your mind, open up your imagination, and he becomes best friends with her, and they play and things like that. And he can sort of avoid his emotions and stuff like that. But he also, and this is where we get into a spoiler. If you ever want to go read the book, go read the book. It's my favorite book. But spoiler alert. He likes his teacher, and he's a little kid, so obviously it's not it's going to go anywhere. But
Miss Vogel's second grade. Whoa, nowadays it be going places,
anyway,
boy.
So he likes his teacher, and
lucky kids.
And his teacher and him share a similar interest. And so she asks him, "Hey, do you want to come to the museum with me? I'm going to go to this museum." He's she asks him, she's like, "Hey, you can invite your friend. She can come with us." And but he likes her, so he's like. She said she can't go, because he wants this to be between them. And so when he gets home, his family confronts him and they tell him your friend is dead. And he's like, what are you talking about? And they're like, when she swung across the rope broke and she hit her head and she drowned in the river. And he just immediately starts blaming himself, because he's like, if I had asked her to go with me, then she would still be here. She wouldn't have been alone when that happened. She would have been with me, or I would have been there. And that is specifically he wasn't just upset that she died. He blamed himself. He put two and two together. It was this is my fault. There's this really touching scene. I can't remember if it was in the book, but it was definitely in the movie, where he's running and he's imagining the monster from Terabithia chasing him. And when it catches him, it's his dad. And in real life, he was running from his father. And he has this moment where he just breaks down and he's like, I don't know what to do, because, my little sister says that she didn't believe in God, so she's going to go to hell. And it's all of a sudden he's just crying, and he's and his father comforts him. He says, I don't know much about God, but I know that little girl isn't going to go to hell. And he's like, well, then I'm going to go to hell because it's my fault, and it's just, those are really real, deep emotions that you wouldn't expect in a children's book. But reading that as a child, really helped me to process those kinds of feelings, even to a lesser extent, that feeling of guilt when you do something wrong and you have to be responsible for your actions. I think it's very important to expose children to that. There's another one, Maniac McGee, which is this book that's about this kid, whatever, but the book itself deals with racism and all this other stuff. It's super important, and reading that as a child is a really important thing for me. And so that's probably where that desire to have emotional growth and deal with serious things
it's
really comes from, is the things that I experienced as a child.
It's definitely a good thing. I just want to touch on what you mentioned about the scene and how you believe you as the viewer, you felt the gravity of the situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, maybe it's just the way I view some storylines and the way I watch the certain scenes, but in that moment I felt the gravity of what the moment was supposed to be, but as the viewer I didn't feel like it was like that was it, like what I saw that was the end all be all.
Mm-hmm.
Because beforehand, like you just one is Stranger Things.
Right.
You already and plus you already had some slight faint idea of what was going on.
Yeah, he was
potentially there's more. Yeah,
he was contacting his mom before you see.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but then it's like, all right, so you have, and this is mainly just about like his frustrations in the situation.
Right.
And then you have, which did he know about the No, he didn't know about that yet because only Will's mom knew about like the contact.
Yeah.
But he didn't try to contact them at all, right?
Who? Will no.
No. I think They checked the didn't they check his like little
his place.
And I think he was in there, and
I think that was before like the mother had any contact.
Yeah.
Like so, yeah.
Okay, so but it's like you have this character named 11 that's in there, right? And the thing about 11,
copyright. Careful with that.
We're not making money off this.
That's true.
So the thing is that we saw how 11 was presented in terms as a character.
Right.
And it's like you knew some crazy stuff was going on. Some weird things are happening here. More than what we already thought could have been going on. Mm-hmm. So it's like with that possibility, like, I don't know, as a viewer, I never felt like that it was like that grave of a situation as a viewer. Like if I was in the moment, I understand. Right. But watching it, it's like, well, there has to be an explanation to the situation. Mm-hmm. There's more to it. Like he's
dead. Let's
more,
find out.
No. It's more like there's more hope than just saying he's dead at this point. Right. Maybe there's an explanation to like why she was saying like he's alive, and they find a dead body.
Right.
Like that. If she's saying he's alive and like
so like in that situation, if you were in his shoes, you instead of feeling betrayed by her, you'd be like, something's going on here because you're telling me that he's alive, and then we find
so
this.
As a viewer, that's how I feel in the moment. I mean, I would be upset. Like my friend is dead, but I wouldn't put the blame on anybody. Right. But that's just me as a person. Like as an individual, I would never do that. I'm not going to put a blame on you for this person. It's not their fault that he died. Mm-hmm. If that's the case, in that situation.
Like you could even say,
I would still question, like, after all that has died down, I'll be like, all right, so you said he's alive. Do you still sense him? Do you still feel that he's alive? Because what I'm seeing is that he's not alive. And then she's like, yeah, and that's kind of how I would approach the situation.
You could even
But again,
say,
I'm saying it now as an adult.
Right. I mean, but you could even say that, I lost it.
Cool.
We're at the time anyway. We're like 10 minutes over. So this one wasn't about video games.
We were supposed to get to that.
We were supposed to get to video games, but we just kept talking about stories.
We talked a little bit about trading video games and letting people borrow video games after other people at the beginning there.
Yeah, but that's a conversation for
never.
in the podcast.
For never.
Oh, no, that can stay in there. I don't care.
Okay.
Hey, man, I'm not the
all
one
right.
that
So that's all we got for now. We'll get back to video games next week. Next week, yeah.
Next time.
Yeah, next time.
Next time.
No, I'll make sure I won't make any more mistakes. There won't be another month-long pause before episodes. It'll be okay. All right. See you guys later.
Yeah. Bye. It's Mike saying bye. I'm signing off.
Bye. Bye.
That was Jeff.
Bye.
Bye.
Are you stop? Did you stop?